1, 2, 3.
Hello, my name is Craig Tarwater. I'd like to welcome you to this video instruction series on how to play great blues guitar. This particular video will be level 1 for those of you just getting started. We ask only that you have a knowledge of the basic bar chords and perhaps a little bit of some scale knowledge, maybe the pentatonic scale, but it's not immediately necessary because those are the first things we're going to show you. I'd like to talk just a little bit about the blues, then I'll give you a tune-up note. Blues is probably an American art form as far as I know, and I don't profess to be a historian or even an expert on it for that matter, but I've had plenty of people who are tell me that I play the blues real good, so I have no reason to mistrust them because they're notable figures, but I won't drop any names. There's two things you need to know when you start on blues, on the guitar or any instrument, but specifically on the guitar. You need to know the difference between the triplet time, which is indigenous to the shuffle feel, the slow blues, which is the 12 feel, or there's 12 eighth notes in there, and they're eighth note triplets. I'll explain it just in a second in a very elementary way. But it's not always in blues. Some blues have a straight feel, although even in the straight feeling blues, which means just 1, 2, 3, 4, da, 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 they still have a syncopated bounce to them if you want them to have an emotional impact on your listeners. You know, like your wife or your kids, you're trying to impress them how you're playing, coming along with your blues guitar playing. So let's just discuss briefly this triplet feel, and I'll give you, just a little bit of sound example. Say if I play just my 6th string, and I play it just like that, okay? Simple. Don't even know how to play yet, but I can do this, okay? Now, in a measure of time, which counts for 1, 2, 3, 4 beats, we have this feel happening. We have a long note and a short note. And the way to find out where they came from is this. You have, in that measure of 4 beats, you have 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. So let's go over that with a cadence of sorts. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. Or in other words, da 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 da. The important thing is the 1, the 2, the 3, and the 4, and all the resulting ones. You've got to have this stuff down. You've got to be able to pick up on this feel. Okay, so we'll just do a little basic thing here, all right? And this is just going to be with that E string. Okay, here it is. 1, 2, 3, what you hear is you hear two notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, after the 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you take out the middle note, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay? In other words, if you go da 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 da, and you take out that middle note, then you come up with this. That's the essence of the shuffle feel. So sometimes it's easier to get a grasp of it by doing downstrokes instead of cross picking or alternating picking. Just go. The first note's long, the second note's short. Okay, that's your clue. But those are derived from just taking out 2 of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So you get 1, 3, 1, 3, 1. You can see 1 is long, 3 is short because you need to get 1 right away again. And that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Those are the ones I mean. Okay, so just to eliminate any confusion, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. So in other words, da, 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 da. Okay, and you have 2 notes trailing over if you're playing all 12, or 1 note, short note, at the end of the measure. And in reality, if you've got the feel right, the last short note in the measure comes up upon the first note in the new measure. So in other words, it anticipates 1 of the next measure. You'll pick it up if you work on it. Now the straight feel, even though it's I say has a bounce and I say is syncopated, still is just 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Watch me try and turn it into a shuffle. I'll probably succeed. Although I was varying my tempo between straight and shuffle. Okay, let's go ahead and give you a tune-up note, all right? We're going to use just the 5th string, A, open twice, and then a 12th fret harmonic twice. So here's A once. Again. And here's your harmonic. Okay, now what we'll do is we'll refer to a fingerboard chart on one half of the screen, or some portion of the screen, and then on the other part you can watch a close-up of my left hand, and at that time I'll be explaining first some chords and then some scales. Okay, we'd like for you to refer to this chart, get it out, put it next to you where you can see it, because it's what we're going to be working with. We're going to go from top to bottom on the left column and work our way over to the right. All right, the first thing we're going to show you is the minor pentatonic scale, which is used in blues, and we're going to also show you the blues note, okay? Now if you'll look on the top left corner up there, you'll see C form, okay, and you'll see open position. C form is derived from a C chord. In getting into moving up the neck, I think you should think about playing it with the last three fingers, because that makes it a C sharp chord or a D chord. Now we'll go back down to C, and the three chords you're going to use in all of your basic blues are going to be a C, a C7, an F, possibly an F minor, C, maybe A7, two fingers, D7, you might use some E7 also. And you'll probably use a G. That's a good way to play it instead of this way. Because we play it this way. So anyhow, basically C, C7, F, F7, and G7. That's a good way to play it in blues, is just the first four strings, okay? So anyhow, let's look at the scale now. We have that's an open third string, the G string. Okay, those notes are G, F, D sharp, C, B flat, G, F, D sharp, C, B flat, G, and F. Now the blue note is the right there, the F sharp. Okay? So here's how the scale sounds without the blue note. This is the C form, by the way. Now here's how the scale sounds with the F sharp. I said C sharp a second ago, but I meant F sharp. Okay, here we go. There were three F sharps, one right there, one right there, and one right there. Okay, so the scale played a little faster without the F sharp, just the C minor pentatonic scale. Sounds like this, in the C form area, open position. With the F sharp, it sounds like this. Okay, then there are various licks that can be played. Probably for this level of instruction, the best licks will be in this vicinity. This one. This one. And this one. and possibly this one. So there's a lot of things when you start bending that you'll get to use, like this. You have to have strong fingers. Those fingers have to be strong. For instance, watch, with only the last two fingers, I can still do that lick. Whoops. Sure. It's better if you use a couple of fingers behind the bending finger. In other words, use these two fingers to help this finger push that string. Then it becomes almost effortless even the first try. You bend it a little less when you're going to the F7 chord. When you're going back to the C. Okay, that'll do for now. Let's go ahead and we'll move up here to the A form in the key of C, and we'll show you the scale again. Okay, here it is. That's a B flat note. G. This is also a third position. There's an F. There's your C sharp. D sharp, I'm sorry. C, B flat. So after the C, or at the C, the scale starts repeating itself again. B flat, G, F, D sharp, C, B flat, and G. You may prefer to call those D sharps that I'm naming E flats. Okay? That'll be fine. So here it is again. Now, with the blues note, the fingering is a little bit more tricky, so we'll play it slowly. You can do this if you want. You can do things like pulling the fifth string down. Sounds very convincing. Watch. I'll play a little C7 triad. And while we're here, we'll give a little note on vibrato. It shouldn't be jerky and wavery or wavy. It should be. And that's the best way to do it. Some people do it this way too. That works also. But this one I prefer. You just get in the habit of raising and unlocking your finger. It's all in the fingers and how they work. If you look at the back of the hand, you'll see the tendons popping in and out. You can also do it down. The great Albert King did it down. A lot of people do it down. A lot of people do it up too. Anyhow, so there are a lot of licks if you play very slowly and explore the scale. Here's another one. See that finger helping this one bend? note, since I failed to touch on it completely, here's your chords as they exist most functionally in the A form position. C7, and the best sounding one is if you just play just those notes. C, G, the B flat, and the E. So it's the inside 4 strings. This finger is doing nothing. That's just what the camera shows you. The finger is just sitting there. It's not being used. Okay, so the C7, then the D7, whoops, the F7. The reason I said D is because it comes from the same shape you would use on a D7 chord if you played with the last 3 fingers. So anyhow, this is an F7. F, C, E flat, and A. You can also put the C in the bass, so you can go. Now, the G7 can be played as a straight bar on the 3rd fret, first 4 strings, first finger barring, second finger on the B note on the 3rd string. So you have your 3 chords. We're playing a little shuffle feel here. So see how the blue note actually is just a passing tone or a note to get you from the F7 chord to the G7 chord. Okay, that's the way it works. Now we're going to go ahead and move up to the G form, the 3rd form. Okay, here we are. Our first note, this is 5th position, by the way. That's the 5th fret right there, the one I'm rubbing my finger on. Okay, here's our, there isn't a real smooth G7 chord or C7 chord right there. You can play one here, like that. That's C, E, and B flat. But you have to be careful how you use chords like that. If you go way down low, it'll sound kind of dark and weird. So anyhow, you could play this one and a bar across the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd strings. Then you have your F7 right here, which is just like the C7 we did down low. And your G7 is right here. It's just like the F7 we just did in the last position. It's just up 2 frets higher. Okay, so C7, F7, and G7. Or this C7. This chord doesn't always sound good in certain kinds of blues. It's better probably for slow blues where everybody's playing on the same simple wavelength. Okay, let's look at the scale now. We have C, B flat, G, F, E flat, or D sharp, C, now we're repeating, B flat, G, F, E flat, C, B flat. That's about as low as we can go in the scale position. Now let's add the blue note, which is right here. Now at this point you can either go out of the position with a hand shift of 1 fret down, or a hand shift of 1 fret up, but on the higher string, higher up towards your chin, that is, the 5th string. There's your F sharp in that position, or in this position. There's your F, your E flat, your C. Okay, so let's play the scale without the blue note. You may wish to do it this way too. Some people don't use their pinky well, so if you don't, you can use your 3rd. Okay, most of the scale books will teach it with the proper fingering. The rule of thumb is normally a finger for each fret. There, I played blues and didn't even know it. Here's the blues scale descending. Okay, now let's go on to the next position. This is the one some of you out there may already know. This is called the E form. Okay, we're getting pretty close to the 12th fret. You can see the double dots. That's the 12th fret. Okay, we're now in 8th position. So here's our C7 chord. There's our F7. And there's our C7. Okay, now let's look at the scale. Here's the E flat, 11th fret, the C, the B flat, the G, the F, the E flat. Now we're going to repeat ourselves again. C, B flat, G, F, E flat, and C. Now let's add the blue note, okay? There's only going to be two of them in this particular scale shape. They're going to be, the F sharp is going to be one of them right there, and the other one right there. Okay, so here's the scale. Also, you can play the E flat up there. I forgot to mention that. That's how some of your licks in this shape come. Okay, here's the blues scale with the blues note. Blue note. Blue note. Okay, so without the blue note, played a little quicker. With the blue note, played a little quicker. Alrighty. Now, this is the one that most people know so well that I would just like to show you a couple of my favorite little things that I do in this scale as far as string bending, okay? I bend the E flat, usually up to an F, and when you let it down from the bend, make sure you're precise. It's just like speaking clearly. That's taking the B flat and bending it to a C. This is taking the F and bending it to a G. And also also sometimes just sliding down in the position a little and bending the E flat to an F, which is the same as okay. So that's how we do that. There's also this lick. There's a lot of double stop things here, but we're not going to cover those in this video because we don't have the time. Okay, anyhow, the last form left is the D form, so let's go ahead and go to that. Now we're at 10th position and our pinky is on the 13th fret. So the most functional chords are the C7 chord, which is just like those F7s and D7s you were doing down lower on the fingerboard. You can use this F7, which is just like that C7 that you did in the G form. And you can use the D7, the G7, a lot of letters to remember here. Actually, there's only 7 letters to remember. This is a G7. F7, C7, F7, and G7. Okay, now let's look at the scale. Here's the C minor pentatonic scale descending from F. E flat, C, B flat, G, F, E flat, C, B flat, G, F, and E flat. Okay, now we'll look at the blues scale. Okay, the blues scale in the D shape starts on the F sharp, F, E flat, C, B flat, G, F sharp, F, E flat, C, B flat, G. You can either do the F sharp here, or you can do it here. Let's see how it looks. I would probably say do it this way. Do it right here on the first finger. So there's G, F sharp, F, and the E flat. So that looks like this at a little better speed. And you notice I just did it with my pinky after I told you this is probably a better way. That just goes to show you how we're all habitually trained. Now, as far as licks in this position, there's some good bends. This is one of them. That's a whole step from F to G. So I know you've heard that lick a bunch. Hear my strap lock rattling? Isn't that tasty? Okay, so a matter of learning these licks will have to do with a number of things. So I'll discuss that with you now. Remember one thing before we discuss this, that you go up and down the fingerboard with these 5 shapes no matter what key you're in. So if you learn the first 5 shapes in the key of C, you can learn all the rest of the shapes. Okay, We would like to show you here in a few seconds how to play unaided all by yourself. And we're going to keep it simple. We're going to play some rhythms. We'll play some straight rhythms. We'll play some shuffle rhythms. And we'll discuss the length of the forms in measures. The blues form for the song, that is. So what we'll do is we'll go to a close-up of the left hand and the right hand, and we'll take the key of C first. All right, using our C7 chord, our F7 partial bar, and our open G7 chord, and our scale, let's play a little homespun, no pun intended, 12-bar blues. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Go up a half step for some color. So you see your fingers have to move fairly quickly to get all the work accomplished, but it isn't that bad. It just requires knowing the scale without having to look down at your left hand and knowing how to just strum easy, okay? So we combine strumming and scales, which means we're ready to go on stage with our very first blues. Now we can move up and play a little bit in the A form shape, and we can do some of the same stuff. We'll go up all 5 of these shapes for you, okay? Here we go. By the way, we started that last one from the 5 chord, which is G7. These are 1, 4, 5 12-bar blues. That means the 1 chord is C7, the 4 chord is D7, F7, I'm sorry, and the 5 chord is G7. Those are taken from the 1st, 4th, and 5th notes of the scale. Okay, here we go, from the 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. The full chord. Anyhow, that was bar 12. Now, We can go on up to the G form, and we can do a few things too. We'll be using the C7, F7, and G7. And by the way, if you play very simply, you'll make a much more eloquent statement and much greater emotional impact for the blues audience if you play simply. If you're playing, that's not what bluesmen do. Okay, here we go, from the 5 chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now we'll move up to the E form, and we can probably get a little bit closer up on that E form, and then we'll show you a different feel now, how to play a shuffle, and we'll use what's called the moving sixth, which is the first note of the chord, the 5th note of the chord, played with the 1st and 3rd fingers. Then the pinky has to go up there. It's pretty easy to do up here because the frets are close together. Okay? So this time we'll still do a 12-bar shuffle, and we'll start in the key, it'll still be in the key of C, that is, and we'll start on the 5 chord again. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a 3-note chord that we'll be showing you in level 2 extensively about 3-note chords. Okay, the last one left is the D form. Okay, and in the D form we have the C7 chord, the F7 chord, and the G7 chord. Okay, for this particular last shape, we're going to change the feel to a straight feel. And we'll still do the moving sixth, but not until we've done a couple of bars of each chord, okay? So we'll start with the 5 chord. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Sixth. Now we have to, at this point, stop and move back down to this form. Okay, guys and dolls, what we're going to do now is we're going to show you how to play simple, and I'm going to lay out and let you take a chorus while I just sit here and groove to the background, okay? So I'm going to play real simple, like I had stated. I'm not going to play any rhythm, I'm just going to play lead, because most everybody wants to be a lead blues guitarist. If you're the only guitarist, then you better get good at both of them. Okay, so here we go in the key of G.
1, 2, 3.
notes are in. Your turn. All right, we're going to let you see some simple things, hopefully some very good ideas for you that will help you sound professional the very first time you play, hopefully professionally, even if it's just for a barn dance. That's how I started. Okay, so let's go to a close-up of the left hand, and we'll show you some chords. Okay, and this is going to be for all your basic things that you would want to do. This is a great 7th chord right here. This is a C7. It's the inside 4 strings. It sounds good all the time. There's little things where you can take the 3rd finger off and put it on the 4th string, and you can get. Just sounds really neat. Just try it. Take the C7 chord and then just play the last 3 strings of the chord, which are the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd strings. Okay? Now, so when you're playing in C, the 3 chords you're probably going to use are C7 here in the open or first position, in the 3rd position, and clear up here in the 8th position. Okay, now when you're playing in the key of C, you're going to use most effectively, if you're down here with the C7, this is going to be your good G7, the full bar chord. Also, another thing to remember, do not play a 7th chord if you're the lead guitarist and the rhythm guitarist is playing major chords, because it will really clash. Okay? All right, so G7, F7, and C7 for this positional area, combining the C form area and the A form area. Okay, for this area, C7, F7, and the same G7. You want to use this C7, you can go to this F7 and this G7. If you're clear up here in the 8th position, you can use this C7, you can use that F7 or this F7, they both share the same F. You can use this G7, the same F7 and C7. If you want to play higher than this position, you can either move the F7 up to the G7, or you can use this G7 this way. Okay, and if you play up this high, that's as far as we really want to go. You'd be playing more these kind of chords, probably more in slow blues. Okay, but in any case, your good C7s are this one, and this one. Your good F7s are this one, this one, this one, and that one. Okay? Then your good G7 is this one. That one works okay. This one, and this one. All right? Now, let's go to the key of A. The A7 A7, the D7, and the E7. The A7, the D7s, notice I said 2 sevens, the E7, and this one. There's another A7. Okay, the key of G. G7, C7, D7, G7, C7, D7, G7, C7, D7, G7, C7, D7, and D7. Okay, the key of E. E7, A7, B7, E7, A7, and B7, E7, A7, B7, D7, E7, A7, and B7. Last but not least, the key of D. D7, G7, A7. So let's identify these numbers on the last key that we're showing you how to play smoothly and convincingly rhythm chords. D7, G7, and A7. So that's 1, 4, and 5. D7, 1, G7, 4, A7, 5, D7, G7, A7 again, D7, G7, and E7. Well, I hope you've been able to learn something from this, simple as it has been. And I invite you to look forward to level 2 after you've digested this information. So with that, I wish you the best of success, and I hope to hear from some of you out there. You can write me at Post Office Box 129, Walla Walla, Washington, 99362, and that's Video School of Guitar. Okay? Bye for now.